I go to church anyway. We go late, so didn't really make a big deal. And if you go to bed a little early, hey, you make up for it anyway. So anyway, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. Now, I'm looking for something. I printed it, but it didn't exactly print right. And I wanted to share something with you. And if I can find it, I will. It's, let me see, Brandon. 9-3. Nope, that's not right. Saturday was what was Saturday?
Well, 2 days ago, that was the 9th.
The 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what it is, the 9th. Okay, I got it somewhere in here. I just have to find it in a minute. But anyway, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. All right, a lot of stuff to cover. I mean, a bunch of stuff. Steve Scalise is going to join us. You know, the other day we had Secretary of State Kyle Antoine, the Democrats were trying to pass a ridiculous voting bill, proving that these people don't love this country, don't love America, don't love the Constitution. Y'all keep voting for Democrats, and you're going to see what you're going to get. You're going to get an unconstitutional, unfriendly country to its own citizens. That's what socialism is eventually anyway. But anyway, it was a horrendous bill that the House passed, and the Senate's not going to pass it. But one day, if they ever get the House, Senate, and they own the presidency again, we're going to really see what socialism is. We're going to see exactly what it is from the Democrat Party. Anyway, Steve Scalise would join us and talk a little bit more about the bill. It's a crazy bill. You know, we're gonna make everybody under the same election cycle around the country. And guess who's going to control it? The Democrat Party and the bureaucrats, which is, I can't think of anything dumber to do, but they passed it in the House because it's run by Nancy Pelosi. So he'll join us at 10:06. We can go back over it. Antoine was talking about how bad of a bill this was. Of course, Democrats passed it. I mean, they don't care about Jesus, God, babies, family, Constitution, nothing except controlling your life. That's why these other countries are hellholes, because government controls their lives. Anyway, there was a press conference and a ribbon-cutting ceremony for Kopter, dedicated helicopter company, Swiss firm, the SH-09 helicopter, which, by the way, has not even been approved, can't even be certified to be done until the second quarter of 2020. But they're doing press conference and cutting ribbons. I've watched this over and over again, only to see it never happened. Ribbon cutting event followed Tuesday's big announcement. They do get it right, 120 jobs by 2025. That's 20 a year for 6 years. Of course, Edwards and them sends out a deal, 275 new jobs. This is all the makings of Bobby Jindal, who they keep saying we're not like. All the makings of Bobby Jindal. 2025 on the jobs. They call it indirect jobs. $55,000 for mechanics for helicopters. That's low. Average helicopter mechanic jobs about $120,000 a year. And I hope it's right. I just don't want. I mean, I see this all the time. They did it under Jindal, they did it under Blanco, and they're doing it under Bell Edwards. You know, they ought to be able to cut ribbons on jobs when the jobs are sitting there. If I go over there right now, can I see jobs? And it's kind of funny, too. They go to this convention, they announce the thing from the convention. And all of a sudden, we're giving them a brand new building. We're giving them $3 million for rent so they can pay some of their rent. I remember they saying that the room for 8 passengers, payload of up to 6,600 pounds, the SH-09 helicopter would be among the most competitive helicopters in its class. I heard that about V-Vehicle from Bobby Jindal. And there's Joe Robideau, Mr. Tax and Spin. He's there, Mr. Tax Man. But they do say we expect to gradually hire up to 120 local personnel by 2025. 2025. Do y'all know what you're going to be doing in the next 3 to 6 months? You realize if you talk to people on Wall Street, they'll tell you, if anybody can tell you. As a matter of fact, go talk to the head of the Federal Reserve and say, if anybody's making a prediction past 6 months, he'll tell you they're a fool. They're a fool to believe something past 6 months. nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody. And there's Mr. Republican Robino praising Bill Edwards for something that may or may not come. The state's going to give them $1.2 million for facility modifications, $1.3 million for lease support. In other words, they're going to get the building and we're going to give them money to do the lease. So this is I hope they're right, folks. I'm just telling you, it's an election year. And I've watched this over and over and over again. And it's the frustration for me is that they make these big announcements but never see them come. The 2,000 jobs they promised, the technical jobs that the governor's touting is the biggest thing we've ever got in this state, is 2025. If I was a betting man, I'd bet against both of them be reaching anywhere near what they're talking about. I mean, you got a helicopter which is not going to even be certified, if it's certified, to the second quarter of 2020. But yet we're talking about these jobs. This is politics, I know. But they put it out there and put it in the headlines and make it a big deal. Edwards sends it out as some big thing. Watch what happens in our fourth quarter growth that I don't have the numbers yet. Third quarter, we were down to 1.9, one of the worst in the countries. In the states. One of the worst in this country. So I'm battling a lot of stuff out there because people want to buy into some of this hype that's not there. And that's the frustrating part to me. Young people, this is another poll. Generation Z has more positive view of the word socialism than previous generations, along with millennials, are more likely to embrace socialistic policies and principles than past generations. Percent of millennials and Gen Z agreeing with statements. Government should provide universal health care. 73.2% of them believe that's true. Wow, where did they get that from? Government should provide tuition-free college. 57% believe that. Prefer living in a socialist country. Now, we can do something about this one. 49.6% of millennials and Generation Z believe in prefer living in a socialist country. This is the key right here. Why don't every young person who believes in living in a socialist country, prefer living in a socialist country, why don't we help them go live in a socialist country? Why don't we help them go live in Venezuela? Why don't we help them go live in any country that considers themselves socialist? And I think it's an awesome idea. I'll do some of the driving and chipping on the gas to get them over there. Let's go let them live over there. Let's go let them live in what they think is some utopia of just everything's going to be handed to you. Everything's awesome. Everything's great. Let's send them over there. I think it's an awesome idea. And let them live there for a year or two. And let's see how much they like it. They'll find out real quick our poor people are filthy rich compared to those people. But this is what they believe. They really believe this. They should be taught the lesson, but they said they would prefer living in a country. Let's ship them over there a few years. The top 3 voting issues for Generation Z, you ready? Mass shootings, racial inequality, immigration problems, policy, and treatment of immigrants. The racial equality stuff is something Obama and them got cranked up again. That's not even a problem. It's really not a problem. But they cranked it up again. They reinvented racism. Immigration, they ought to be livid. People are going to get to come over here and take their jobs. Millennials' top issues are healthcare, global warming, climate change, and mass shootings. Global warming. Big old global warming, Brandon. And climate change, which, by the way, climate changes all the time. There was a report the other day that the meteorologists now are starting to push the climate change factor on when you're watching news and it comes to weather. They're now starting to get into that mode where they start explaining to you these changes of weather have to do with man-made global warming or climate change. They're just sprinkling the news and sprinkling the weather now with this craziness. Why? Because it trains people to believe that crap. So here we go. They tell us weather and climate change are two totally different things, but why are they incorporating climate change into weather all the time? Because they want it to be one thing. They want your mentality to believe that if it rains too much or doesn't have enough rain or too cold or too hot, it's all caused by man. So anyway, 844-766-6607, Hickson has a hotline. Let's take a break. A lot to cover. Looking forward to hearing from Steve Scalise as we rock and roll. Your calls are welcome. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You can call us on the Hickson has it hotline. Crazy woman's back on it again. Ocasio-Cortez. I believe people believe like her, though. Capitalism, irredeemable. Can't redeem it. It's a sick woman. But let me tell you something. Those sick ideas, killing babies was a sick idea. 61 million later. 61 million babies later dead because of, quote, the choice of a woman. And now this woman here, this crazy woman's coming through here, and people will eventually buy all this stuff. They always do. I told y'all, remember, I've always said, and another guy taught me this, 15 years ago, the middle-class people are tired. We're getting pulled and yanked by regulations and taxes. You're getting popped locally. You're getting popped at the state. I mean, you get a governor like Bel-Air with $7 billion in new taxes. And then, your local governments and the bottom line, is that we're tired. So what happens is a guy like this Cortez woman, 29, not a lick of sense, ain't no life experience, comes in and throws all this stuff out that Bernie Sanders has been doing, and people buy into it. They telling blacks. They just said, blacks are not making the money they ought to make. So blacks buy into it. Oh, well, if we could do this, then we will all have this. And they're talking reparations and all this crazy stuff. But like I said, we thought killing babies. Now we're talking about killing babies. Governor Northam, Brandon, they never say anything about him anymore.
Neither Fairfax either.
No. Governor Northam comes through, and he wants to kill babies after they're born, and he's a guy that raised over $100,000 for Bell Edwards. Raise money for the current governor. Nobody even talks about him, and the governor never said one word. I saw what the governor said today. Governor, they're trying to tie the National Party. Oh, yeah, but people know where I stand on abortion, and people know where I stand on Second Amendment. No, we don't. We know where you stand, but you don't really stand. You don't stand like a man. You just throw it out there because in this state you couldn't win if you said, hey, I'm pro-choice. I'm against the second. If Bell Edwards came out today and said he was pro-choice and against the Second Amendment, the campaign's automatically over. He knows it. But Northam raised money for him. He didn't give a penny of it back. Not one penny. So we got Cortez running out there, and these ideas are nutted up crazy. I mean, ignorant, dumb ideas, yet some of you people don't think that any of this stuff will ever happen, but I never thought we would say, you're a boy or you're a girl today. Well, you go in the girl's bathroom. I never thought we'd say that. I never thought we'd change the definition of a marriage, as your boy Kennedy, one man and one woman. I just never thought we would ever get to something like that. A real marriage, one man and one woman, one man and one woman that God ordained. But we do. So why don't you think there will be health care for all, Medicare for all, a working wage for people that don't even work, free health care, free education, free college tuition? Anyway, this woman gets up there and says this, and she is a nut job. But there are people buying into it. By the way, somebody just let me know, if you look at Kopter SH09 on Wikipedia, it shows only 3 ever built and still in testing, Brandon. Folks, we got a helicopter company coming, and the helicopter has not been certified or approved yet. But we cutting ribbons at a helicopter center. Cutting ribbons. And I'm going to be called, he's a bad guy, he's negative. There's no negative bone in my body. I'm just being realistic. I watch politicians all my life. And although some of them come on and we talk to them until they, to prove themselves worthy. I mean, sometimes, my God, they're so bad. And this ribbon cutting ceremony already for a company that's going to build. Just think about this, folks. They're going to build a helicopter. They hadn't built but a few of them. It's not been certified for anybody to fly in one. Yet they're going to build 100 a year. They're going to build 100 a year. Of course, in 2025, 2021, they're hoping to build a first one. They're going to hire 120 people, and we buy into it. We eat it up. I'm just telling you, I'm going to be shocked if they ever build one. It was only 3 ever built and still in testing. I told y'all it was in testing. So this is what we're planning on. Company coming with something that's never been tested or proven to work or certified to even be sold. But I'm excited because Bell Edwards came in and said, by the way, they went from 120 jobs to 275. Don't forget the old indirect jobs. And Bobby Jindal invented the indirect job. Bell Edwards voted for 6 of the 8 Bobby Jindal budgets. He's doing the same thing Jindal did. Here's a direct job, and indirect jobs. And they put it out there. So the headlines when Governor Edwards sent out his deal was 275 new jobs. And they talk about it like they're going to be here today. They talk about it like we can drive over to the Bell Kopter place and look at the people working there now. And we can't. Anyway, let's take a break. Buck on the road, you up first. When we get back, your calls are welcome. Cortez, nutting up again, but the media covers it. Take a break, be right back. Combating climate change. So anyway, she's out there again, folks. The problem is, as crazy as I think it is, if you'd ever told me we'd have been killing babies and proposing to kill babies after they were born, I'd have just laughed at you. You know? They call it an unequal society. No, it's really not. People that get themselves educated and go to work can do great things in this country. But you never will once the government tells you, here's your health care, here's your free. What are you going to do with, let me ask you a question. So if you got free education and you didn't have a free, robust economy where you can go be the best you can be, what do you think you're going to do with your free education? What are you really going to do with that great education you got from the government that gave you? Except learn that, boy, they're God and I better worship them. Let's go to Buck on the road. Buck, how you doing, sir?
Good, Moon. How you doing?
Doing fine, sir. Trying to figure out how I can get on all this free stuff and don't have to work at all.
Yeah, well, just listening to your last statements that you made, that's exactly what people need to start saying to combat and to push back against this idea of Medicare for all, free college, and saving the planet with this New Deal, because what I see right now, which is a danger, is that in the national media and with our politicians, all they can say is, well, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? Like it's even a good idea if we could pay for it.
It's not. I agree with you. It's not a good idea. This is a horrendous idea.
There's at least half, probably more, that if you're not going to pay for it anyway, why would you worry about what it would cost?
Yeah, but you know what's sad about it is? What's sad about it is you will pay for it. You're going to pay for it out of your pocket, number one?
We will, but it's just like there's a lot of people that will pay nothing. It's like the cost of medical care. There are some like us that are going to pay more, but there are actually people that are actually paying nothing. And when you have a large portion of people that are not going to, pay for it, telling them, well, how are we going to pay for it is not an effective argument. But when you break it down and they tell them how bad an idea it is and how much opportunity you're going to lose and how that's going to set progress back in and how worse things are going to be, those are things that people say, well, hey, that's a bad idea. I don't want that. But if if we just act like, we can't pay for it, so then the other side's going to win.
Oh no,
So
no, I agree.
We need to change the argument.
But
I don't see anybody at the national level stepping up and saying anything other than, we'll never be able to pay for it.
Well, I know, and I agree with you. I don't think that's the only thing you can say. But if they need to show, and they're starting to do it, I know Fox is doing, some other people, they're starting to show the devastation of what real socialism is all about. And what they're going to do is they're trying to get all these groups, minority groups here, people over here to buying all this crap. And that's why I think they want, give you an example, people that are coming in this country that don't want to come over here and become the melting pot we are and to believe in a Constitution and to believe in the American way, that are just coming over here because it's a great place to come get a freebie. Well, when some politicians hollering, you can vote, I'm going to give you money, I'm going to give you health care, I'm going to give you a home, they'll come here and they'll agree with them 100% of the time. And they're going to it's going to devastate us even more. Yeah,
you have kids today that think that with socialism, they could be an abstract art major and get a free housing, free Medicare and free. But in a socialist, society, that what does that produce? It produces nothing. They're not going to be able to do that. So
matter of fact,
but we got to quit arguing about the cost, because these people, they're like, well, it doesn't matter what it costs. Well, here's the end result, and this is how much worse everything's going to be.
Man, it won't be jobs. They can get all these free educations, and they're talking about she was dogging companies for making profits, and profits are more important than people. In our society, we want a democratic society that we put people first. All that's great. It sounds great, but it's a bunch of bunk. If you're a company, listen to me. If I can't make a profit, there's not a business out there that can survive without a profit. None. So when you don't have these, sir?
There's not a person that can, because unless you're going to work for exactly what it takes you to put food on your table and whatever roof on your head, if you don't work for a little extra money to save up for retirement or to put your kids through school or to have a better quality of life, that's where you're working for a profit.
Yep. But let me tell you something. And you just called it. You just hit it on the head. For an individual, if it takes you $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month to run your household, okay, you can't make $3,800 or $4,800. You better be making more than that where you can put something back. This woman, look, has no clue. But the problem is, once again, there are people buying into it. There are people that really believe what she's saying. She's 29 years old. This is one of the dumbest women I've ever seen in my life, or man I ever seen in my life, any time in my life for 57 years. I've never seen something so stupid in all my life.
She hasn't got to sit across somebody with an opposing viewpoint to challenge her on it. That's why it makes it sound like, all of these people buy into it, because nobody challenges her. When she says the planet's going to end in 12 years if we don't do this, nobody says, that's ridiculous. Where did you come up with that? They just let her talk.
Not only that, the media not only lets her talk, they pushing her. They pushing all these crazy ideas. It's just ludicrous that this woman gets up and says the things she says.
Exactly. Well, we got to change the argument, Moon. Just saying how much it's going to cost is not going to win.
Well, you can bring up the amount of cost, but I agree with you. That's not where the argument needs to go. It needs to go that you're talking about running a whole class of people in a whole country and a whole society. That's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, bud. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. She also said she blamed the current racial tension on Ronald Reagan. Brandon, Ronald Reagan's been dead for 20 years. Ronald Reagan set us on the path to prosperity for anybody who wanted to jump in prosperity. She blames Ronald. I bet she hadn't read 3 things about Ronald Reagan. Somebody told her about Reagan one time. She said, yeah, I bet he's a racist. He's the one started it all. Ronald Reagan didn't hurt anything. He pitted white working class Americans against brown and black working class Americans to screw over all working class American in Reaganism in the 80s when he started talking about welfare queens. I got news for you. This woman's crazy. All these people, welfare, they're the ones we got to take care of. It's just, this is the new way of doing things. And let me tell you something. Like this gentleman that just called, people are buying into this craziness. Boy, their lives going to be miserable like Venezuela. Just as miserable. Take a break. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, anything we talked about this morning. You people scared of this Cortez woman? I'm not scared of her personally. I think she's an idiot, and she's gonna keep rounding her mouth. I think even the Democrats could turn on her. But do you believe that there are people that believe what she says? I do. There are people that believe that you ought to kill babies after they're born. Wow. 844-766-6607. Hey, folks, I've been bragging a lot about Schumacher Homes, America's largest custom home builder. 3 great locations, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and Lafayette. I brag about them because they're really good at what they do. I met Paul Schumacher. Really impressed. You could tell he's passionate about building your home. And he builds custom homes. He can build it anywhere in the great state of Louisiana. You want somebody passionate. It's one thing about people, when you look at their business or jobs, find out the passionate people because they want to make sure they do it and do it right. They've won a lot of awards, the National Housing Quality Award-winning company, highest recognition in the home building industry, and they have won that, and they've won multiple awards in the designs and things that they do. No two Schumacher homes are exactly alike. Listen to me again. No two are alike. This is a custom home. This is building your home, folks. This is working with you. They'll sit down with you. They'll provide a free, no-obligation price quote that allows their customers to know the total price of the home, no hidden cost. Now, I tell you, if you build a home, this is what you want. This is what you want. And they put it all in writing. SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com. If you want to learn more, you owe it to yourself to go to the website, call them, and let them know that you're interested in building a home and you want to give them a shot at it. That's all they're asking. That's what small business asks for, a shot and an opportunity. That's Schumacher Homes. SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com. Hey, you can be glad you got in touch with these people if you're building a home. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. Amy in Alexandria. Amy, how you doing?
I'm well, Moon. You know, when I have a problem, I want to go back to the source. I want to find out when it started. Mm-hmm. I want to find out what was going on when it started and then work from there. I see this problem with these Gen Xers and on and on and on, and I'm a baby boomer, so I'm old. But when I see the issues with work ethics and depending on the government, depending on their parents living in their parents' houses forever, I see that starting back when we finished World War II and the baby boomers started getting born and the government started saying, if you went to war, we're going to pay for your education. If you went to war, we're going to help you with this new housing program where we're going to help you get low loans, low rent, no low interest loans. And it's almost like the government started this. Now,
no. I'm going to be honest with you, Amy. I think you're right on the money. No, I think you're right on the money because what happens is government, give me an example, out of wedlock babies, okay? Yeah. Out of wedlock. What are you going to do with a baby that comes into the world? We're not going to feed it and clothe it and house it and give it all. Yes, and the government stepped in because the daddies ran away. Yeah. Okay, so they looked at that and said, hey, here's an opportunity, and it created its own thing. Now people have babies out of wedlock so they can get benefits. So what happens is you got people that start, and then we started building a welfare class. Building a welfare class. But now what are we doing? Because I told you this, if you ever listen to the program, middle-class people are tired. So what happens now is you're struggling. You're making a good living. You got 2 or 3 kids. You're trying to put them through school and do that, but you're struggling. You go bust your butt every day. You come back. You don't have much. They're going to take property taxes, sales taxes, local taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, and they keep taking from your productivity. So what you do is you go, well, they'll give me my health care. They'll actually let me not pay for that, and you buy into that because you're tired. You're worn out. Government is creating all of this. And by the way, but the biggest reason that government has stepped in is because we become a post-Christian nation, okay? In other words, when the Bible says, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, you ought to have babies after you get married, not during. We were doing the things that we were taught from a biblical perspective. We wouldn't be dealing with this. Just think about this. I'm going to throw this out there, and people are going to probably freak out on me, but I don't care. If you had no sex outside of marriage, how many illegitimate children would be here? How many children would be born out of wedlock? How many government programs will we need? None. How many venereal diseases will we have to fix? None.
Probably none.
Okay, that means we wouldn't need all these programs to take it. I'm using that as one example because I think the illegitimacy. I think babies, kids having kids, it's caused a lot of this. So what we do, we got government stepping up to fix everything, and they can't. So
Can I give you another perspective too?
Mm-hmm.
When the government started subsidizing the housing for families because everybody should have everything, then everybody wanted a huge swimming pool. Everybody wanted 2 or 3 cars. Everybody wanted and wanted and wanted. And so mamas left the home so they could have things instead of families.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. There was an article today, I want to say from the UK. Here it is, for the Sun. It said, working mums in UK's child obesity epidemic. Shocking paper that claims their kids eat more and move less. They're saying because women have gone in the workplace that this is why we have obesity. Now, by the way, I don't necessarily buy into that, but there was a time when a dad could go to work and you could have 3, 4, 5 kids. Mom stayed home, and it worked real well. It worked really well for a lot of people. Now, there was times moms wouldn't get an extra job or went to work, and some of that was able to work out too. Or moms wouldn't work once the kids got out of school. Okay, so, but, in the Women Lib Day, that was the big thing. I'm telling you, illegitimacy. Just think about it. Look at the illegitimacy and the problems of the breakup of the home, once again, post-Christian, that goes to schools.
Breakdown of the family.
Yeah, it goes to schools and the problems that happen in the school system. That's not the fault of the school system, but they try to fix it. Once again, government coming to the rescue. We got to give me an example.
Okay.
My mom and dad were middle-class people, very much like me and my wife. We're middle class. When I get up in the morning, I got kids that go to school. I wake them up. I don't have to clothe them and brush their teeth anymore, but I cook them breakfast. Now, if I can cook breakfast for my kids, why can't everybody else?
I think anybody could, but they don't.
No, but we started a government program to take money out of our taxes, out of our pockets to fix all this stuff. That's all I'm saying. We now make it so hard on the middle class people and the working class people. We come up with new programs to help them. Healthcare, Medicare for all, free tuition, all that stuff is ludicrous. But that's where we're headed at. That's where we're headed right now.
And we send our kids to school to be indoctrinated, to be fed 3 meals a day because they get sent home on the weekends with a backpack full of food that they can eat all weekend. But yet those households probably still have cable going into it, and those kids are sitting on the sofa eating and not moving.
Well, used to, though, and what people did is, like at our house, we ate out once a month. We cooked every 3 meals a day. My parents cooked 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
We don't do that. All the process.
Mom did most of it.
Yeah, in my case, Mom may have did my dad cooked a lot, and even at my house with me and my bride, me and my wife both can cook. We both can cook, and like my wife's off a couple of days, she'll cook. You know, we both work. I come home early. I cook. The weekends, last night I grilled. We ate sandwiches for lunch. You know, I can just go through the thing. That's what we did. This day and time, it's go out to eat, go out to eat. People are going to be heavier. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, I got to go, Amy. Thanks for the call. All right. What you laughing at, Como?
I'm not laughing. I can't smile.
What you smiling at? You didn't have gas or nothing over there.
No, I'm good. I'm gas free right now, man. No.
That's not throwing you under the bus.
No, not at all, man.
Damn near. All right, we got to take a break.
I'm just trying to smile on this Monday, man. I'm just saying.
You know, it's the best day of the work week. I got to smile anyway. All right, man, let me go. Somebody just wrote, you sure can cook? Yeah, I can cook. So can my wife. Take a break. Be back. Hi, hello. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Expecting Steve Scalise to call in. Representative Scalise, I know he was going to board a plane, but he was going to get on with us for 30 minutes before he had to go board the plane. So I'm expecting him to call in ASAP. So when we get him on, we'll go straight to him. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, it's official. Democrats officially endorse John Bel Edwards for reelection. I always get a kick out with watching every of these campaigns and what people say. Oh man, I just love when they throw stuff out there, and it's so much misinformation and stuff that we're doing it. He said the Central Committee's Democrat State Central Committee. I could go on and on about the governor and the great things he's done for Louisiana. I'll get to this in a minute. I think Scalise's call. It's hilarious what these people are saying. They keep bringing up Jindal, too, which is even funnier. Anyway, let's jump gears. Representative Steve Scalise joins us. Steve, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Moon, I'm doing great. How you been?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. Appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know the Democrats, and we had Kyle Onsway on last week explaining about a very House Resolution number 1, H.R. 1, very horrendous takeover and to nationalize our elections. And he was explaining it, and then all of a sudden I saw you had a comment. So I want you to tell us, what did they pass in this hideous bill?
Yeah, Moon, I think it's important for everybody to take note of this bill. H.R. 1, which means that was their top priority of Nancy Pelosi coming in, to literally have a federal takeover of the election system. It does a lot of things. First of all, it sends billions of dollars of taxpayer money into political campaigns. So for the first time ever, you would actually have taxpayer money on a 6-to-1 match going into campaigns of people running for Congress.
Wow.
You talk about a Politician Protection Act. The bill does a lot of other things. It actually overrides a lot of states' voter ID laws, laws that people have on the books to prevent against voter fraud. You talk about a crazy idea. I mean, a lot of states have their own ideas. And by the way, the Constitution allows states to run their own elections.
Sure.
And so now if you've got protections against fraud, against people voting multiple times, being on the books in, let's say, 3 different parishes, you have the ability, Kyle Ardoin, as Secretary of State, has the ability to clean up the rolls and make sure that somebody's only on the books once, and they get rid of that. The whole idea is one man, one vote. Everybody who's legally eligible to vote should have the opportunity to vote once, and that's the way it should be. Under this bill, they let felons vote that are currently prohibited by state law. They make the states, they override the state's laws that say, for example, if you're a felon who was convicted of voter fraud, in this bill, they override a state's ability to stop that person from voting again. If you're a child molester and you were convicted of a crime against children, and in Louisiana, by the way, because of that, you'd be banned from going into a school.
Yeah.
Under this bill, they give you a hall pass, and they make you override the state law so that the sex offender can go into the school and vote.
Now, hold on just a second. How sick is that? That's pretty dang sick, man.
Nancy Pelosi, it's sick. It's dangerous. It allows more voter fraud. We had a guy, one of my colleagues is a congressman from Pennsylvania. He actually was a federal prosecutor who prosecuted corruption in voting, and he had amendments to clean up some of the anti-corruption language in this bill, and they wouldn't even let his amendments in. Here's a guy who put people in jail for voter fraud, was trying to clean up some. I mean, it's legalized voter fraud. And they passed it in the House. The good news is I did a press conference with Mitch McConnell last week, and Mitch made it very clear this bill will not see the day of light in the United States Senate.
It shouldn't.
But every single Democrat is on record voting for this thing. And that means, look, a lot of these swing district Democrats that said they were going to be conservative and anti-Pelosi, they all voted for this bill.
Yeah. Steve Scalise, my special guest. Steve, one of the things we got to understand, you got to teach people every day, is that we don't have national elections. I know we got a national election day for president, but the bottom line is we don't have national election day. We got a national election day, but not a national election. Every election is an individual state. That's why we got the Electoral College, awesomely set up. So this right here flies in the face of anything constitutional.
No, absolutely. It wouldn't be constitutional. In fact, National Right to Life scored against this bill because they said it takes away their free speech rights, which it does. It really impedes not only on elections, but on the ability of free speech of groups like National Right to Life. You even had the ACLU come out against it. I mean, Moon, to get the ACLU and National Right to Life all to say this bill violates the Constitution, it's dangerous. It passed the House, and you can go look at the record vote. Every Democrat voted for it. This was Nancy Pelosi's top priority.
Well, first thing she did was try to nationalize the elections. And by the way, just some of the things you said, they also want open borders, people become citizens overnight. We know illegals vote in some states because they allow them to. How would that affect anything? I guess that would affect that too, huh?
We had an amendment to stop illegals from voting, and they defeated that amendment. It really tells you what the heart of this is all about. So right now, let's say you're in a state like California. In California, they allow somebody illegal to get an ID, a driver's license in essence, a state ID. Under this bill, if you go get an ID, that automatically sends your name to the voter rolls. So it's like motor voter on steroids, but if you're here illegally, that person's name actually goes to the voter rolls. And so we saw that. We said, look, this is going to create an opportunity where illegals can actually get on a voter roll, and you can't take them off. By law, you can't take them off the voter roll under this bill. So we reversed that and said if somebody's here illegally, they can't get on your voter roll, they can't vote. And they voted that down.
Wow.
So again, it tells you this is what it's all about. It's about illegals voting. It's about billions of taxpayer money. Think about it. Your taxpayer money is going to go to somebody like Ilhan Omar to spew anti-Semitic hate, and you have no control over it. In fact, she would get a 6-to-1 match under parts of this bill of your taxpayer dollars going to fund people like her who you don't agree with. And if you agree with her, you still shouldn't have your taxpayer money forced to go into a campaign account of a politician.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I think that's one of the bad parts of the bill, but the parts that really worry me is that they'll come in and tell the state of Louisiana how to do votes, how to count them, how to do everything, basically, because they want to own they want to make this a national election like they do everything else. They want the economy to be controlled by them. They want health care to be controlled by them. Now they want elections to be controlled by them. Yep. This is a sick piece of legislation.
Yeah, it is. And look, I mean, states, for example, that have protections against fraud and against illegals voting, for example, but the felons, just look at the felons right now. So if your state prohibits felons from voting, under this bill, on the federal elections, the felons would be able to vote, but on the state elections, they wouldn't. So now you would have literally two different ballots on Election Day. And how's the Secretary of State supposed to maintain that? They don't say, but it would be a nightmare to try to figure out, okay, wait a minute. The felon who's not allowed to go into a school because he's a child molester now can go into the school and vote on federal elections, but he can't vote on your state elections. So on a computerized ballot, how do you even sort that out? Again, many things in this bill everybody ought to know about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Steve Scalise, my special guest. I'm just trying to figure out where are they coming up with this crap. I mean, this is stuff that what do you do? Sit around and dream of ways to run the country? Starting to wonder. Really am at this point.
They've got an unlimited number. Look, they want to take away your tax cuts. So, I mean, people that are doing their taxes, they're realizing, okay, I've actually got more money in my paycheck every single 2 weeks or every month we get a paycheck. You're getting more money back because of the tax cuts. They want to get rid of that. They already passed a bill 2 weeks ago to infringe upon your Second Amendment rights. Last week they passed this bill that groups like National Right to Life and the ACLU say infringe upon your First Amendment rights. I guess they're going after the Third Amendment next time. Maybe they're going to make soldiers have to be quartered in your house again. I mean, where does this end? I think, Moon, it's a good question to say, look at what Nancy Pelosi is doing. They have somebody who's violently anti-Semitic sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and they won't remove her.
Yep.
This just happened a few days ago.
Listen, I got a few other questions I want to ask you about, especially this Cortez woman. I'm going to take a quick break. Steve Scalise, my special guest, Representative Scalise. Let me do that, Steve. We'll come back for about 6-7 minutes, and I'll let you get out of here.
Great.
All right, we'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Don't go nowhere, folks. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Representative Steve Scalise from the great state of Louisiana. And Steve, first of all, thanks for being part of the program. I was concerned about the bill they passed. The good news, McConnell's going to kill it. I'd never see the light of day. That's the great news. But I saw McConnell wanted to bring up the Green New Deal or the New Green Deal or the Green whatever they call it deal. I wish they'd go vote on that one because that's another Looney Tune bill. You've been very outspoken against this Cortez woman, but I got to believe there must be some people believe like her, that believe in what she's saying, and that's the scary part of this.
Oh, absolutely. And look, she's got millions of followers, Moon, and I don't take what she says lightly because as crazy and radical as it is, they actually believe in it, and there's a growing number of people. I mean, you look on the Democrat side for president. Every Democrat running for president's already endorsed the Green New Deal. You know, Bernie Sanders is leading in a lot of the polls if Joe Biden gets in. But they've all embraced this idea that carbon is, man is destroying the earth and that fossil fuels are the reason. Look, she says in 10 years she wants to get rid of fossil fuels and you don't need airplanes and cows. I mean, this stuff's Looney Tunes, but they believe in it.
I know they do.
The irony is, she says it's more fossil fuels are immoral and you shouldn't be flying on planes, yet she flies around on planes. Now, look, I don't believe fossil fuels are immoral. They're in the ground. We explore for energy every day. It allows people to heat their homes in the winter so you don't die, by the way. And if you can't heat your homes in the winter, people actually do die if they don't properly keep their houses warm. And so you look at some of the stuff they're saying. It's crazy. They don't live by it, but they want to do this. Yeah. It would destroy our manufacturing economy, by the way. You'd literally send jobs. And if you believe that man's destroying the earth, let's talk about carbon emissions for a minute. If you think that's the problem, go look at these countries you'd be sending our jobs to.
Yep.
If you can't manufacture in America because of the Green New Deal, which you wouldn't, then all of those jobs don't just disappear. The manufacturing, the things that we need to make products, goes to countries like China, like India. And if you look at their carbon emissions, they emit 5 times the amount of carbon to make the same things that we would make here in America, whether it's cars or bicycles or whatever it is that we make. If you make it in other countries, you emit more carbon. So how are you solving the problem of carbon emissions? You're actually making it worse. And, by the way, you've destroyed our economy and increased the price of daily goods that Americans buy.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, look, everything she says, she's ripping capitalism, Medicare for all, free health care, free college tuition, free this, free that. Now, I know there's a cost that can't even get close, but just the fact that young people are believing this crap, I mean, that's what bothers me. Forget the cost. A guy called a while ago and said, we need to be arguing against this even being viable, this even working at all. The cost we know is not going to work, but we need to make sure that it's viable and what they're talking about can be beat up so easy.
Yeah, and you've got to point it out because, again, it all sounds great, but people innately know there is no free lunch.
No.
You know, if everything's free, who's paying for it? And ultimately we all go broke because the millionaires and billionaires that they love railing against, you know, we lowered taxes. We lowered them for everybody. And by lowering taxes, we actually brought more money into the federal treasury,
yes.
and we created more jobs, and people have more money in their pockets. There's a value to all of that, and they want to get rid of all this stuff. I mean, it's, again, it sounds good until you look at it. Anybody who thinks that everything's going to be for free, where does the money come from? Somebody's going to have to pay for it, and ultimately it's a taxpayer. And that means they're going to raise your taxes, and they've already said they would. They talk about a carbon tax or, fees on everything. That means you're paying more money for their crazy ideas that go to Venezuela right now. You want to see a socialist country at work. And these people are socialists. They're not liberals. They're socialists. Venezuela is the best example, the nearest example of what socialism is. And right now, the power went out yesterday in their major city because they can't even make things work over there because socialism doesn't work.
No.
So go look at what happens when you move to socialism.
Oh, no doubt about it. It ruins people's lives. It ruins free enterprise. It ruins countries, cities, states, anywhere it's tried. I mean, ruins it. And these young people are now saying, well, we'd rather socialism. Maybe they ought to go to Venezuela for a couple of years and then come back and tell us how great it was. But this woman's all over the place, She's calling, this is Ronald Reagan that calls this, FDR is a racist. Everything she said, this lady's 29. Steve, I know how old you are and I know how old I am. We didn't know much at 29. We thought we did, but we didn't. This woman knows nothing. She knows nothing about economy. This is one of the most ignorant women, men or women I've ever seen in my life, ever.
No, it's something that people ought to take heed to, like you said. She just the other day called FDR a racist. I mean, they just throw names and slanders around at people every single day. It's disgraceful. But, again, millions of people are following her. She's getting she was on 60 Minutes. She's on the front page of Rolling Stone magazine with Nancy Pelosi and Ilhan Omar and Tlaib. And again, they're out there embracing anti-Semitism. You're going to talk about our great friend Israel, the only democratic state in the Middle East. I mean, the Jewish state that was created after World War II. They're slandering it. They're out there slandering people who embrace the United States' relationship with Israel and questioning their citizenship and patriotism to America. And they're doing this openly. And so I think it's important. I'm glad they're doing it openly so people can see just what they stand for. And hopefully they recognize that this isn't the kind of House of Representatives we want, because Nancy Pelosi is catering to them 100% right now.
No doubt about it. And one day, if we don't watch it, they'll get it all and do all this stuff, and we're all going down. Steve Scalise, God bless, man. Thank you so much.
Always great being with you, Moon. You take care.
All right, bud. You too.